especially the opening at the very beginning where it looks like an eye, but it's actually a spaceship going inside something. And it basically hints that there are these creatures on the planet that look like humans that are going around and stealing human bodies. In which, of course, one of those creatures is Scarlett Johansson. And also there's another guy and a group of other people on a bike that are also these creatures. What is disturbing is that this creature that Scarlett Johansson portrays shows no remorse for anything. There's one scene where she kills a guy who just saved a woman from drowning, and he's sitting on the beach. She grabs the rocks and smacks him on the head and drags him away. While it's hinted that in the background there's a child crying, and that child is maybe hinted to be his dad. And Scarlett Johansson shows no remorse. She even walks by later to see another child in a car by itself crying. And which, of course, if you guys don't know, unless you're that naive, but a child being in a car by itself, especially a toddler, that is terrifying. That is something that shouldn't happen. But Scarlett Johansson's character basically shows no remorse. So she is basically the succubus type creature where she seduces men into going into her house or lair, where she takes off her clothes and the guys take off their clothes, and for some reason they end up getting sucked in this liquid bath to get their skin just sucked all the way out. And it's a very terrifying and disturbing thing to see. However, those are some positive aspects as it being a horror movie, as it gives off that creepy vibe. But one negative thing I could say about this movie, that it is somewhat slow paced. If you have no patience whatsoever, this movie takes a while to get to the point. There's a lot of parts in this movie where Scarlett is just driving around. Oh yeah, by the way, I spoil the shit out of my movies, and if you don't want this movie spoiled for you, go watch the movie before coming here. Otherwise, I'm going to spoil the shit out of this movie. So, yeah, and there's a lot of boring parts where she drives around and does nothing and just living in the British life. And she kills at least 4 men, seducing them, convincing them to come to the house. But the way they die is so bizarre. They basically see her naked and they get sucked into the floor, but they don't seem to be bothered by it. And that, yeah. The other bright side I can say about this movie is I think we see Scarlett Johansson nude. I say I think because you never know in these days where they can easily replace it with a body double. But there is that positive side. If you like Scarlett Johansson, there is some nudity with her in this movie, in which, of course, I didn't mind. But again, it could be a body double. So there's that positive aspect. So what could be another negative aspect is that there is a random thing that happens in this movie, and I'll get to that in just a second, that I'm not sure if it's good, I'm not sure if it's bad, but it's towards the end of the movie. But the major plot point in this movie is she brings another guy and seduces him to the house and brings him there, and he gets sucked into the floor, and for some reason, it's hinted that she feels some sort of remorse this time, and she saves the guy, brings him out, puts him in the van, and drives him in the middle of nowhere and lets him go free. Which, of course, he could probably die from, the cold outside, but it's never hinted about that. So it seems that Scarlett's character, this alien, this entity, is trying to adjust to human life. She tries to eat a cake, ends up vomiting, throwing it up. She tries to get with a human male and tries to fall in love with them, and for some reason, I guess it's hinted at in this part of the movie that it turns out that she doesn't have a vagina, or at least the skin that she's wearing. It's hinted that throughout the entire movie that this skin that she's wearing, which of course the title Under the Skin, it's hinted that that's not really her body, but we don't really get to see it towards the end of the movie. So she ends up having intercourse with the guy that she's tries to fall in love with. She doesn't have a vagina, and for some reason, now, like I said, I'm not sure this is a good or bad thing, because I'm just not sure what's going on. But after this particular scene, she is randomly in the woods with a coat on, and it's so random because we don't see the transition, like why does she leave the house that she's in and suddenly goes into the woods. And this guy that was helping her out, he was helping her because he saw her on the street and felt a little bad for her. So I'm just kind of confused on why they randomly did that. It didn't really much explain what happened to that guy and her. So there's that. It's also hinted that the other skin walking aliens is looking for her because she goes up missing. Okay, so here's the weird part of the movie. It's right after this weird edit. She ends up alone in the woods, and she runs into a random guy in the middle of the woods. And he ends up trying to rape her. So he ends up taking off a piece of her skin and seeing that she's an alien. And this rapist goes off and grabs some gas and randomly lights her on fire. I'm not sure if he did this out of fear because he saw that she was a monster. I'm not sure if he was doing to hide evidence of his attempt to rape. It's never really explained. But what is bizarre is that we get to see this creature take off its face and look at it, and we get to see what it actually is. It's this black, weird looking thing with no skin. It's this like gooey black, that's the best way I can explain it without you seeing the movie. It's this weird looking thing that's just completely black. No eyes, no face, and that's it. So this rapist lights her on fire, and I'm not sure if he's doing this to be a hero. I'm not sure if he's doing this because she's a monster. Or like I said, I'm not sure if he's doing this to hide evidence of an attempt to rape. That part's not explained. But for some reason, she ends up dying of the fire, and it's hinted at the whole movie that she is just in awe about the planet that we're living on. Like, at first she wanted to eat us, but now she's just like, oh, humans, cool. Oh, Earth, cool. Oh, that's that, cool. And then the movie just suddenly ends with her dying, and it's hinted that her other skinwalking friends are looking for her, but they never find her. So that's it. That's Under the Skin with Scarlett Johansson. Is it a particularly bad movie? Is it a particularly good movie? I'm not sure. I don't know. I can't tell you if this is a bad movie. I can't tell you if this is a good movie. Like, I'm not sure what to think about it. Because I just saw it, the other day, yesterday. And, yeah, this movie will be embedded in my mind for some of its weird imagery, for some of its weird tension. Because there's this weird tension music that plays throughout the whole movie, but nothing's happening. It's just Scarlett Johansson walking around and driving around and her looking at, oh, that's cool, but not really saying anything. So yeah, there's that weird tension music. So it is a horror movie, but to me, it's a horror movie with a twist. It has a weird twist that this entity tries to sympathize with humans and tries to be human, only to find out that it just can't live on this planet with us. And this movie doesn't really explain very well of what it wants to be. And there are some weird edits, like I said, and there's some weird character choices that randomly happen. And the scene between her killing the guy on the beach and leaving that child on the beach and that child crying and her not doing anything about it, just leaving that child on the beach, that really stuck with me. Like, man, that scene really bothered me. Out of all the scenes in this movie, the attempted rape and the eating the other men, the killing the other men, that's the one scene that really bothered me because, how cruel can you be to leave a child like that, but for some reason later to finally sympathize with men and want to be part of the planet. It just seemed that the creature, I guess that's the point, is that it seemed that this creature was trying to be something that it wasn't. It was trying to understand our world at the end, and it just couldn't grasp with the concept of men. And the attempted rape scene, it's so disturbing that I'm not sure what to make of it, because when you think about it, when she dies at the end of the movie, she kind of deserved it. The entire thing that was happening to her, she kind of deserved it. She killed 4 guys, left the child on the beach, and then for some reason tried to sympathize with humans, only to meet a bad guy and meet her demise. So at that part, I think that movie was trying to make you feel sorry for her, but I couldn't feel sorry for someone that murdered 4 people out of cold blood and left the child alone on the beach. And left another child in a car seat. I just couldn't bring myself to feel that sort of remorse. So I'm not sure what message this movie was trying to bring me. But that's just my 2 cents. So, if I gave this movie a scale of 1 to 10, 10 being the best, 10 being the best, 1 being the worst, 4 to 6 being kind of in the middle, 6 being sort of the best, 4 being sort of the worst, I give this movie a 5. And that's a rare rate for me, because I'm not sure if this movie is a bad movie. I'm not sure if this movie is a good movie. I am not personally sure what to make of this movie. And it's going to bother me. There are scenes in this movie and imagery that's going to bother me and stick with me throughout the course of the year. I'm probably not going to forget this movie for a while. I'll probably watch this movie one day and be like, oh, I remember this. You know, it's one of those movies. Now, does it have rewatchable value? I would say no. Like, to me, once you watch this movie one time, you have no other reason to watch it, because you basically saw what it wanted to show you, and you have to kind of walk away from that experience to try to think about what you just saw. To me, rewatching the movie again would kind of destroy, you know, that experience of seeing this movie for the first time. So that's just my 2 cents. And guys, that was Under the Skin, starring Scarlett Johansson. Let me know if you like this movie. Leave a comment below. I will happily have a discussion with you. Also, if you can, please leave a like or subscribe, and help my little channel out, because it helps me immensely. And I really appreciate every single person that subscribed to my channel. Guys, this is the Great Geek Detective. I'll see you next time. Peace out.